Hey, what's up guys? This is Neil and this is the Pinoy Plantito channel. So a couple of days ago, I asked all the followers in my Plantito page in Facebook and also our community here in YouTube to ask me any questions that they would like to, whether it's personal or plant related, and it was received nicely by all of you guys. So today I'll be answering all those questions. So I decided to do this video, guys, not just for you to get to know me a little better, but also for me to have an idea of, like the topics that really are important to you and could be a reference for, future videos. I'm also assuming that a lot of the questions that you will ask here are those questions that are frequently asked questions by a lot of people, which if I could answer right now could be a reference for, a lot of questions that I will just have to answer anymore, but just refer them to this video, because as much as possible I try to answer each and every question in the comment box, but not every time though. No, it's not every time that I have like the luxury of time to do that. So I'm thinking if we can make this video today and a question is asked that is already answered here, so I will just refer them to this video, right? Wise, right? Secure few more views here and there. So yeah, it's a win-win situation. And so without much further ado, I'll be answering your questions, guys. Let's dive into it. So our first question came from Chris Halos and Marie Antoinette Makatangay. And basically they have the same question. And they're asking me how many thousands of pesos did I spend for my plants? It's a scary question, guys. As you know, guys, I have over 1,000 plants in my backyard and in my collection. But a lot of those plants are common plants. 95% of all my plants are common plants. So I don't really have a lot of those rare, expensive plants as you might think. I have a Thai Constellation, I have some semi-rare philodendrons and some calatheas. That's it. But not really like those plants that are being flexed in Instagram. Not really like that. So I estimated all my plants, especially those that I bought, to not exceed 50,000, guys. The reason for that is because I have a lot of free plants like small cuttings that I just got for free from my friends. And also I did a lot of bartering, guys. For example, my Thai Constellation back then was really expensive, but I only got it because of barter. And the plants that I bartered for it where we are looking Epiprimnum pinnatum and a very dark Synthapsus and some blue Epiprimnum, and which is not super blue. Those are like pretty common in Palawan, but not everywhere, but not anywhere else. So that's maybe the reason for the barter. And a lot of plants actually are I have bartered with a lot of people. And I would like to say thank you to all of you guys whom I bartered with. Thank you for giving me a lot of plants. Okay, so yeah, not so much, really. Okay, number 2 question. Are you single? Nyahaha. Many ladies like you? Really? So might as well answer this. That's from Abification Light. And same question also from Marie Antoinette Makatangay. Okay, you know what, guys? I feel like a celebrity with this question. So it's very, very weird. Pero sasagutin natin yan. Okay, so I have someone being linked to me, but the truth is we're just friends. Showbiz. Okay, so I'm actually dating someone, but not anymore since the pandemic. Okay, let's move on with question number. Pangilan na ba to? Number 4. Number 3 question. Okay, this one came from Maria Flores, and she says here, "Hi there, I noticed that you add acacia leaves as part of your soil mix. What are the other possible substitute? I do not have access to acacia leaves. I live in zone 10. Where is that? Semi-tropical. Okay, so it's a semi-tropical place where she doesn't have any access with acacia. Perfectly understandable. Well, the reason why acacia leaves is a good organic fertilizer is because it is rich in nitrogen. It's a nitrogen fixing plant. And you know, when these nitrogen fixing plants decompose, they release all the nitrogen and all the other minerals that they have back in the soil. So maybe a good alternative is anything that is nitrogen fixing. Any leguminous plant are nitrogen fixing. So like beans and these trees with the same leaves and fruit as acacia, they're generally leguminous plants as well. Okay, so question number 4, do you accept garden design or courtyard designing job? I do, but I'm in Palawan. A lot of people are actually asking me for a project, but since I'm located in an island, I'm an island boy, so it's really impossible. But I do accept consultation, guys. Maybe you want to try that. Actually, guys, I did a tropical poolside garden landscaping. Here it is. Check it out. It's my first project outside of my garden. I really love it. I'm very passionate about this kind of work. It's not like work at all to me. So yeah, if there is a chance for all you people of Palawan, hello, I'm here. Okay, so next question is from Ralph Michael and says, I have Monstera adansoni, Variegated lineata, and the new leaf that unfurl have no fenestration, while the other leaves, no fenestration as compared maybe to the other leaves. Is there any problem with that? Nah, I don't see any problem with that at all. Okay, so fenestration usually comes upon maturity, so just wait a little bit. The leaf will eventually have fenestration. I also observed the same thing even in matured plants, like they have one leaf that will not have fenestration, but eventually if another leaf unfurl, will have fenestration. Okay. From John Sarabia, hello, Miss John Sarabia, one of my top fans, and she's asking, ano daw yung sekreto para lalong gumwapo? Wow. You know what? It's easy. I'm gonna tell you guys. Just kidding. Hi, Mom John. She's got a baby. What? When she was still pregnant, she always watches my video. So, she said that, I don't know, napaglihaan niya daw ako. There is no exact translation in English of that. Purely Filipino thing. It's like when I don't know how to explain it. When someone is pregnant and uh, like she's craving for something like a food or a person. I don't know, but like I explain this, guys. For example, my mom, when she was pregnant, she said that she likes dinuguan, which is a very dark Filipino food. It's yucky, guys, yucky for foreigners, but it's a blood stew. So that's when it's cooked. It's really dark. And then when I was born, a lot of my sisters and brothers are like very fair skinned, but I'm really dark. I don't know why. In my phone, I appear a lot whiter and paler. But in reality, guys, I'm really dark skinned, like a Filipino. Okay, so I didn't answer the question. So, shall I answer this question? Ang hirap ah. Okay, I think it's all about having a lot of plants. So that's it. Have a lot of plants around you. It will change your attitude. You'll be more happy, and will you will exude that really nice and charming and vibrant spirit to the outside. Okay, so I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so next question is coming from three people basically asked these questions. Maria Jacinto, Reniel Imotan, and Maricar Santos Go. And they're asking the same question: what kind of pesticides, insecticides, and fungicide am I using? You are not watching my vlogs. Okay, no guys, just kidding. Well, I already shared in a lot of my videos in YouTube that I am an organic gardener, guys. So basically, I don't use any, inorganic fertilizer or pesticide or insecticide or whatever. The closest thing that I use to a fertilizer is actually is an acacia leaf that I have in my soil mix, and also I use sometimes, if it's available, I use vermicast, and also a lot of banana peelings. So those are just my fertilizers, guys. And pesticides, I also don't use inorganic pesticides, those that we can buy in the stores or online shops. I make my own, like from chili, vinegar, oil, and dishwashing liquid. Okay, so that's it. I spray it, works. The reason why I don't use these pesticides or insecticides just because right now I'm getting the results that I want from my plants. They're growing healthy, big, and I think it has something to do with their environment, basically. So, but I might encounter later on some issues and pests and diseases that I cannot handle with just using pure organic pesticides or insecticides. And I don't really mind using inorganic pesticides or fertilizers or insecticide if it helps. Anyway, these are not food, so I don't eat my plants, so really have no problem with that. This question came from Jocelyn Amoro and Jason Diego. Here they are, looking really nice with their plants. And they're asking, when do I need to change soil in a pot? And how often? What are the signs that they need to repot their plants? As for me, I don't really repot my plants if it's not really necessary or unless maybe you got a brand new pot that you want to flex. Okay, so if the roots are already coming out of the pod and underneath, well, it's about time, honey. And if there is a problem with the root, like there's a pest or disease, of course, and if the soil mix is very compact, that is killing your plant, then I do repot. And if the pot doesn't have enough holes and the plant planted on it is a plant that requires well draining soil or is very prone to root rot, then I do repotting. So those are basically the things that I consider in repotting. Other than that, I don't repot. It's not necessary. Okay, next question comes from Jason Duenas Laurea. Here he is. And his question is basically he's saying, what are the common diseases that I experience with my plants and what treatment? And the second question is, okay, so we will disregard the first question and just answer the second question. Nah. Okay. Anyway, the first question. Yeah, first question, guys. The diseases, not so much, but basically the most common one is root rot. Okay, I experienced that with some of the begonias, some of the philodendrons as well, and some of the peperomias. Okay, so what I did is I changed soil, of course, and use well draining soil in a pot that has a lot of holes. Okay, so basically that's what I did. And next from Brian OC, here he is, and he said, I've learned a lot from your vlog, especially on your topic about microclimate and plant survival instinct. It's very factual and scientific. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Welcome. My question, what's your take on soilless, medium, or leica for philodendron? And do you have any tips based on personal experience to promote pink variegation on pink princess? Thank you. Okay, so Brian, what's my take on soilless, medium? Well, I'm very, very natural when it comes to my garden and the plants, and I try to mimic their natural environment as much as possible. But I do understand that this is the 21st century and our world is becoming smaller, especially in urban areas, and there's like very less place to farm. And actually, there's a lot of technology wherein they did amazing harvest in just like very small areas, which is traditionally done in like wide open fields. And I'm for it really, if it means like increasing like the food supply and providing us more food security. But personally, because I have a backyard, I'm not into soilless medium because why? I would just plant them where I think it's just going against the natural way of things. And tips to experience pink variegation on pink princess. Ryan, if you observe that the topmost leaves and stem of your pink princess has already reverted, it's better to cut it because reverted plants or part of the plants don't usually revert to the variegated plant that they used to be. So it's better to cut it. And how do you cut it? You cut it where the variegation stops, so that the next time that there will be a bud coming from that, it could possibly be variegated again. Okay, so you find it, and it's usually in pink princess. You can observe that. You just take a look. And most of the plants, it's where the yellow ends or the white ends or the color ends, and where the green starts. So you just do that. Okay, so from Fe Manalo Malveda, and she said, We know worm castings are good for the plants, but what if worms what? What if worms themselves are present in the soil? What kind of worm? If it's an earthworm, it depends, guys. If it's a big pot and there's one earthworm resident, it's totally fine because earthworms, they give you worm casting, they cultivate the soil, provide more aeration on the roots, and it's really good. But if your pot is too small and then there's like a big earthworm living there, I think that will be more harmful than useful because it's gonna disturb the roots so much. Because like he's got nowhere to go, so it's just gonna disturb the roots down there. Okay, so next question is from Ann Aquino. How do you handle seasonal changes? Dalawa lang season dito sa Pilipinas, pero extreme yung tag-init and tag-ulan with a lot of storm on this side. So she's saying, guys, that there's only 2 seasons in the Philippines, but it's extreme hot, extreme drought, extreme flooding or wet season with a lot of typhoons on the side. Exactly. Well, what I do is, for example, on the rainy season, and what I do is, because in the rainy season, the most important thing to consider are, the overwatering of plants because of excessive rain, and the other thing is the absence or the lack of light. Because by this time, like plants really grow really fast, and like if you have a lot of vines and the trees will produce more leaves like that, so there will be more shade, and aside from that, it's not sunny the whole day, so light becomes very precious commodity during rainy season. So what I do is I remove all this, like if you have a net and it's become too dark, you can remove your net, and what I do is I trim the trees and the vines as well, and to prevent root rot, I don't change the soil, of course, of all the plants into well-draining soil. That's like impossible with 1,000 plants, right? And what I do is just place them in a place where there's like a roof or a canopy of plants that could protect them from excessive watering that could result to root rot. Summertime, I place the sensitive plants away from direct sunlight, put maybe a net, or increase the percentage of net to maybe 70%. Okay. Next question is from Joshua Despabiladeras. Wow. Josh, your surname is a tongue twister. Okay, sabi niya, hi Plantito, how can we maintain the variegation of plants and why most variegated plants are slow growers? Alright, very good question. To maintain variegation of plants, let me just explain quickly. The variegation of most of our house plants is more on biochemical, guys. So it's like a cancer, guys. It's there's a constant fight between the variegated cells and just imagine this. This is not really like that, but to give you an example, it's like in cancer cells, like there's a constant fight between the variegated cells and the regular cells fighting each other. That's why there is always a reversion, okay? And there are plants that are prone to revert. For example, Monstera, albo, and all those similar plants. And they're in a constant battle to win against each other. And the variegated parts of your plant, like the variegated leaves, they do not produce as much food for the plant. So honestly, it's more favorable for a plant not to have a variegated leaves, and there will be more healthy, guys. But we people have an obsession with variegated plants. So that's basically the explanation behind the variegation of plants. And because these variegated parts or leaves of your plants do not produce as much for the plant itself, you need to expose them to brighter light, because if you put them in a darker area and they're weak in producing food, sugar for the plant, then the plant will probably say to itself like, hey, you're very useless to me, and these green leaves are doing me a lot of favor, get lost in my body. So it's gonna convert all these leaves into green leaves. Okay, so that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen with your plant. So in order to maintain your variegated plants, you have to like expose them to bright and direct light. And the reason why most variegated plants are slow growers is because variegated plants are really weaker. They're weaker to pests, they're weaker to getting burned, they're weaker to a lot of things. And if you have variegated plants, it's actually, they will require more care coming from you. Okay, next question from Dulce. He's asking if it's okay if Epipremnum has Caladium in the same pot. I don't see any problem with that. Epipremnum is a epiphyte. When it starts to crawl, it's not just gonna get its sustenance from the soil where it's planted, but also where it's crawling and in the air as well. Okay, so no problem with that. I have also those, and these caladiums, after the dormant season, they will just die, and then when it's like their season again, they will come back, and you will be amazed how did it get here, right? I know it happens to me. I have a hanging plant, and so when the dormant season happened, all the caladiums almost died and disappeared, and then when it's their season again, I have caladiums on a hanging plant up there. I was like, how did you reach there? It's amazing. All right, maybe like when you're doing like a repotting, and then in the soil, you make a mix of the soil once again and put it in another pot. That's how I think it got there. Okay, so, and RC is asking how to win your heart. It's pretty easy, RC. You know me. One Espiritu Sancti, one Monstera mint, and maybe a Tetrasperma variegata. That's all it takes. Come on. Just kidding. Okay, next is Raniel Imota says, he's asking, among your plants, which one is your favorite? And I have a lot of favorites, guys, but I think one of my favorites is my Monstera Thai Constellation, because he's the one who demanded from me more care in time, because my Monstera Thai Constellation, I got it as a cutting. It's supposed to have one tiny root, but then when it was shipped to me, the tiny root was like broken from the base, and so it was rotten, and there's really nothing I can do to save it, because I cannot just cut it, because it was broken from the base and it's rotten totally. Okay, so it's not like the edge, like the tip of the root was rotten, so I can still cut it. It's like the whole root was rotten because it was broken from the base, and that's where the rot started. And a friend of mine told me to cut that root, but I was really scared to cut the root, because I know that if I wound the Monstera Thai Constellation, it will be the beginning of a new root rot, because Thai Constellation is really prone to root rot. So what I did was, I did not cut it. What I did was I removed the outer layer of the root, and the hard tissue inside, I let it remain. And I was really right, because the root rot stopped from there. But I was left with, like just a leaf, a single leaf, and it's from there you don't know what's gonna happen. So I propagated it for almost 2 months, water propagation, hoping for the best. But it's like basically a dead plant. I never transferred my Monstera Thai Constellation until there's so much root and like the roots are coming out of the jar where I water propagated it. Honestly, I felt like a real pro after I was able to survive that stage. After my Monstera Constellation was able to survive that stage, and it's now an amazing looking plant. So that's the story of my Monstera Constellation. And so that's about it for me today, guys. I really appreciate your participation in this video, and thank you so much for all of you who sent your questions, whether I was able to answer your question or your question was not selected to be a part of this, but thank you anyway. And thank you so much, guys. I hope you had a great time, and I hope that you learned a lot from what I shared today. And I definitely enjoy doing this with you guys. Yeah, that's about it for me. This has been Neil, your Pinoy Plantito, and I see you again next time. Bye, guys.